call it maybe a vest or an overshirt or something like that. But my goal was just to take something that would be thrown away that no one would really use. I cut it off. I had used the bottom, but I had this, you know, with all this on it, and it was, you know, what are you going to do with that? Well, that's where patchwork always came in for me. But I used to would take them and I would cut them off like this. And this is kind of how I make my ponchos, but we're not going to make a poncho. We're going to just make a little vest that can be thrown over a shirt or a sweater or something like that. And what I would do is I would just cut both sides off like that. And then I would take strips of t-shirt. You can use the sleeve most, you know, for that, and just cut you some strips like this. And then just cut them open. And then just pull it like this. And then you're going to have some nice long ties. And so what I would do is normally do, it depends on how you want it. You need to leave enough for the arm. So I would normally do probably 2, or you could just do 1 on each, you know, 1 here, and then on the back side, same on this side. And then you could just simply tie it off and wear it like that. It's really cute. But even if you didn't do that, if you had a t-shirt or something and you want to cover up something on it, think about a patchwork. I've also done things as elaborate as ruffles, which I'll show you real quick. I'll cut another strip. And I just take my strip. I don't pull it at this point. I would just take it, lay it on there, and just kind of ruffle it by just tucking right there. You're just going to push like that and then sew it on. You could lay it on there and then get you some pins and pin it on if you want, or you can do it as you're sewing. So you could do the whole thing with ruffles, just however you want. But I also like to do tone on tone. Or I'll cover up what's there and then patchwork on it. And so you would just, instead of using the bottom part of the shirt for something else, you could use it to actually do the patchwork on. So I always like to cut off that piece right there on the sleeve, the hem, because I don't want it like that. And of course, I would cut off right there where the sleeve was attached. Like that. And so you could leave this on because you're going to cover it up with patchwork. You could just patch around where you know that the patchwork's not going to be. And then you could actually, you know, put some patches, some more tone on top of that to cover it up. It's just kind of however, you know, what you want it to look like. But I made a patchwork earlier, but I'm going to take it apart. I'm going to deconstruct it and show y'all how I constructed it together. And basically what I like to do is have a focal point. And this little bird was my focal point. I don't always use birds. I'll use florals. So say if we didn't have the bird, we could use the floral, you know, as the focal point. But I had it, and so I decided that that's what I was going to do. And so what I actually did, honestly, I didn't do all this first. So I'm just going to kind of show you how I would piece it together. I kind of had the bird, and then I was like, well, what do I want, you know, to go on the side of it? I kind of started playing like that. And this piece isn't cut just right, but It's up to you whether you want it square or not square. And then I had this red, and I was like, oh wait, let me tuck that under. I kind of like that. And so I just started playing, and I had this one and I tucked it, but I was like, no, you know, it needs a back, it needs something behind it. Now, you could leave it like this and patchwork this all with the tone on tone, but I decided that I wanted to work with some other colors behind it like this. And you could start with your base, your last layer first, but I didn't, because I normally start with whatever my focal point's gonna be, and then I'll work from there. I might turn this piece like that. I like the pop of color right here. I do that often in my work. I might rework this one a little to cover up like what I have right there. And then this I thought was kind of cute. And you can kind of see what's under it. So to prevent that from happening, just cut you another little, if you have to, just cut you another little piece of fabric, tone on tone, to cover that up. And what I do from there, from here, I would pin all this down nicely, and then I would start my stitching from middle and work out like this, you know, and down. Because if you try to start here and you sew the whole thing in, then you're gonna have where it kind of bunches and bulks up. So the best thing to do would start your quilting, your stitching from here. And so most quilters start from the middle and work out to prevent that. Now, I don't use any type of quilting stitching or whatever, like, you know, some people have patterns that they use. I don't do that, but if you would like to do that, you definitely can. And so when it's done, it's gonna be an adorable little piece to throw over a white t-shirt, or, you know, a long sleeve white t-shirt or short sleeve, or even over a sweater. But you could do the same thing with any of your projects. Now the back is definitely, I think, needs work, but it would have to probably be patchwork too, but I most likely would do tone on tone, and then maybe do just like a little small patch, something like this on the back. All right, so we're gonna stitch this down. I'm just using yellow thread that I already had. And my sewing machine. I'm not gonna stitch over the bird too much because I want to leave it visible. Sometimes if you machine stitch over it too much, it's really hard to see. So I'm just kind of working this piece, and then I'm gonna like kind of push out from there. my stitching as part of the design. So that's why you see me do a lot of back and forth stitching. I like the look of it, and that's why I'm using a contrasting color. Oh, it looks like I may have ran out of my under thread, so I will reload and then show y'all the finished look. To make sure, like when I'm doing it, I just kind of look at the curvature of the jersey knit. If you kind of pull it just a little, you'll see it curving in. I like that to be up because then it will curve up instead of downward, which gives a much prettier look. And so I'm just going to start it like this, and all I do is I just kind of put my finger under and push it and sew. So just make sure you're catching the edge underneath while you're doing it. Sometimes I'll lift it up, and watch out for your straps or your ties, I should say. And I'm going to take that all the way to the back. I'll just kind of push it up and then sew. And then under this one, to start a new piece, while it's up like that, I'm going to take it and just push it under right there, and then just keep on going. It's going to sturdy that edge up some, because that knit is, I could have flipped it under and hemmed it. That was an option too, to sturdy it up. But I just figured I'd add a little extra detail with the ruffle. Add one more piece. I think might be enough. Just remember when you're adding to make sure that you are, you know, the jersey's the same way, that is curving up, not under. Looks like I'm gonna need a little bit more. Just kind of pull it to test it. Just pull it slightly though. All right, let's see what that looks like. And then I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. And I gotta also have to go back to the back and put some patchwork back there because of the, so you see that's just gonna firm that up a little bit. And if you need it firmer, what I like to do is just take a piece of, I don't know, cotton or something thicker. You could even fold that cotton and go back along that edge and just tuck it under and just sew it, you know, under, I mean, on the underneath right there. But it's starting to shape up. I finished it. You can see how the patchwork came out and the little bird. And if you look on the sides, it's tied right there. Just ties, and I left this open. I like it like that. What do y'all think? I like the little ruffle I added, and I actually cut the neckline down a little, and then I added just a little piece of the jersey. Just kind of pulled it like as if I was doing the ties, but then I just straight stitched it down right there. I didn't go all the way around. I just did the front, but you could do the back too. But it's just absolutely adorable, I think. So that's what you can do with just a lot of scraps. Turn a t-shirt that, you know, has just like a business t-shirt, you know, something someone created for a business. Or I think this one might have been blood donor shirt. And then I just took a bunch of scraps and turned it into this. What do y'all think?